Call to order the Ironton City Council meeting of March 27th, 2025. With us this evening is Father Morris from St. Mary's, St. Anne's, St. Joe, St. Lawrence. Get them all?
Got them all?
Yes. To give our invocation, if you please stand and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Father.
Let us turn to our triune God, who is Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Amen. Gracious God, we give you thanks for the blessings you've given us here in our city. We thank you for the council who comes together to help guide us. We ask you to guide them, guide the people of this town, and help all of us to do your will by being neighbor to one another and working together for the betterment of our community. We ask your grace to come down upon us through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Father. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
roll call, please.
Brown.
Here.
Cleary.
Here.
Haney.
Here.
Harvey.
Here.
Hawk.
Here.
Klein.
Here.
Harry.
Our clerk was on vacation. Hopefully she set the sunshine, and we will have the approval of the minutes from the previous meeting or next meeting. Happy vacation. Next is audience participation. We have with us an invited guest this evening, Ralph Klein from CAO, to give us a grants update. Ralph.
Good evening. In your packet, I think you have a resolution for the submission of an urban tree grant. Sorry for the short notice on this. We found out about it, I think, last week, and it's due the 1st. So, the city submitted one, I think, in November of 2022. We did not get funding on it. It's part of the new urban diversity, that type of thing, so I'm not sure where all this is going to go, but since we had a project put together pretty much already, we thought we could go ahead and do that, trying to get our tree commission going and things too. So we're looking at applying, it's a maximum of $100,000. We're applying for $90,000, and what we're trying to target are replacements of trees that were lost during the windstorms in some of our neighborhoods and that type of thing. Working to establish urban or trees in like our redevelopment areas up on 3rd Street and some of these new areas that we're working with. Plus, we're able to look at the areas around the Amherst and out the wetland areas, that being a kind of a priority area there. So there's no matching funds required for it. We are able to show leverage funds, and so we use some of our AMLO dollars and Ironton Bloom investments and things like that as some of our others. So we don't know what our opportunities are for getting it, but we thought, well, we'll go ahead and do it, and we'll find out. I think probably I think in May or June or something on that part. So anyhow, there's a resolution there that would authorize us, and it would be a city application authorizing the city to make the application for those funds. So we did include monies into it for pay for like a crew, like Ironton Bloom works with the city on the watering and things, that would be able to go actually out and work to water, maintain, and do trimming of trees and that type of thing. So we did put some monies in for that too. So.
Chris.
This is not related to this. I appreciate this resolution. So I've been looking into it's a grant for mosquito prevention and I don't know, I forget the whole name of it. But so I've applied to you had to have a letter of, I forget the statement that they needed from the local health department. Now I've contacted the health department to get that letter. Do you guys handle that? Would you handle that if I get the letter and get everything rolling?
To put it together and things?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can work with you.
Okay, so I'll just send that letter and the information to you.
Yeah,
And
include me and probably Michelle, and then we have a new person, Olivia Edwards. She's
Okay.
actually the one that put together the tree grant for us here, so, over the next couple of days, but yeah, we can work it. Doesn't sound like it's that much of a grant, right? I mean,
that's 25, well, it's up to 25.
I mean, not that much to.
No, there's not a lot at all, but the one stipulation was receive a statement of support, I guess, from your local,
Health
Fort
department.
County Health Department.
Okay.
So I'll send that information to you.
Do either of you know if that's divvied up by county? Because I know our county health department applies for that mosquito grant every year, so are we limited by them, or is it
Maybe.
per individual request?
I don't know anything.
Okay.
I'd have to read that.
That may be the one issue you run into. I know that the county does, apply for that grant every year.
I wonder where they spray. They don't spray.
They do come in town every now and then.
Well, that's ours, isn't it?
Yeah, we pay.
Oh, okay.
Okay. I know ODNR has some grants like that too, so, I
I'll
mean, give it to us.
I'll figure out
We'll look
the
into it,
details.
thanks.
Okay, thank you.
So, we'll
Appreciate
follow
you.
through. So,
Thanks, Ralph.
any question on any others, let us know. Well, I wanted to bring some more folks, the newer folks, where we're adding to introduce the council and things, so maybe we can have some kind of work session, give an update on all the various grants and things, so, okay?
Thanks, Ralph.
Thank you.
Mayor, also, speaking of trees, reminder that one on Lawrence Street Road, keep hearing about, because it's baseball season and St. Joe plays their baseball games out there. And it's laying in the street in Lawrence, at the top of Moulton's Field.
Okay. Yeah, 'cause we're clearing out this week, because Indiana bat season's on.
Next is audience participation. If you'd like to address the Ironton City Council, please state your name and address for the record, and you have 5 minutes to do so.
Mary Ann Tussey, 1507 Karen Street. Thank you for checking, Mr. Haney, on that mosquito. I looked online, and it is by county, and there was no Lawrence County listed. Scioto County got 19,000, I think, last year. So, but Lawrence County wasn't listed at all.
Once they give me that letter, I'll submit it around.
So I hope you will consider putting some tile in down there at the creek, so we won't have a bunch of mosquitoes, because we do right now. Fight that, because water's constantly still there. There's still gonna be water from the highway. And I don't know if you ever talked to anybody with the DOT, but if you give me a name and number, I'll be more than happy to contact them about it also. So I just,
We don't have any luck contacting them, so you're more than.
oh, I thought you said you had a contact.
Well, he's not the contact that can make those decisions.
So I have another question. Is there any standards or regulations in the city regarding fencing? I have an issue with a neighbor who has an 8-foot wood fence that fell over on my 6-foot chain link fence a year ago. I paid a man to push it. It's broke at the bottom. It's gonna have to be replaced. This was a year ago. I paid a guy to lasso it and get it off my fence so we could get my fence back up. They have a pool, and I talked to them a couple weeks ago, and they said, well, when the weather gets better, they're gonna do it, but so far they haven't. If that fence falls down and my fence goes, that's gonna be open for any child to get in that pool. It's overgrown. I don't think they've opened that pool in a couple of years, but do we have any kind of ordinance where I could cut that fence off my fence legally? I checked the Ohio fence law, but it doesn't seem to apply, and I did look at the online Ironton, I didn't see anything that would tell me if I could cut that off my fence.
We wouldn't have any ordinance regarding that kind of thing. If they won't remove it, you'd have to bring a civil action against them in court.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know there was a bunch of people asking, concerned about the digging that's going on at the flood wall. So I'm just wondering if anybody knows any local regulations in regards to the weight limit on the flood wall.
I would
And
think
FEMA
for
has-
them to do that, the Army Corps of Engineers would have to approve that.
Yeah, I don't think the Army Corps of Engineers did though.
Yeah, they did.
Just because of the many issues that we've had at the riverfront and with this, the Army Corps of Engineers is the very first step that nothing happens unless the Corps of Engineers,
They're the ones that
approves
made
it.
us do it that way too.
Yeah.
So is there a report or something that can be,
Permit, probably.
Yeah,
You can either
probably.
get it from them or we can
I
get it for you.
I can contact them, it's okay. And is there any FEMA guidelines that, had to be considered when they were, putting that weight? The concern is the people that live down there for years, we saw a sign that said, don't ride, don't put your cars on the levee, don't, stay off that levee. And now we've got, I don't know if you've been down there, but it's huge. And there's piled of dirt right there on top of the levee with a 10-ton piece of equipment on the levee. So there's my concerns.
Like I said, I think that's, obviously you don't want cars or four-wheelers or whatever going up there on a daily basis, but for this type of work, the Corps of Engineers has approved that machinery, that type of work to be done. Because, it's to get the Corps of Engineers to approve something, it's a huge undertaking.
I was told that they didn't approve it, but
They,
I will check.
with that, they have to.
okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Oh, one more thing, since I have to do my second. I still have a driveway that curves up
Okay.
instead of down.
I wish you were here last meeting because
I was.
You missed.
Yeah,
Oh, did
You
y'all
were
change
absent.
it?
You were absent.
Oh, okay.
So Kevin
Thought you
Wood
did.
gave us, there
I
was
started to come last Thursday and I realized, oh no, it's wrong.
a big update. And I wish you were here, but
wish I was
Kevin
too.
Wood he's guaranteed us that the water that you see staying, the pipes that are coming out of the ground, are eventually going to get. They're going to have grates, and then it's going to be resolved once everything's tied together. They can't have a lot of water running through there currently, or without the pump and everything. And
So what if
running
it backs up into our yards?
Well,
He told us that that's the highest point in the whole project down there, and that's the way it's designed, and that's the way they were sloped, and the drains will catch all of that before it even crosses the sidewalk, because that's the highest point.
I don't see how it's gonna catch, especially my neighbors, because it doesn't even, it's laying on his sidewalk. It doesn't even come up to the drain that they put next to my driveway. Okay, thank you.
John Elam, Finance Director. A few things. On your desk, you have the February financials. I would appreciate if those could be approved and made part of the minutes. We've really done a lot of work, and kudos really go to Jonda for coordinating all of this as your records retention manager. Nate, I know that you have a keen interest in the fourth floor. I'd like to invite you to go up there with me after the council meeting, just so you can see the amount of work that's been done. There are still a few of you that have not turned in the statement of fraud from the auditors. You know who you are.
Do we have that? Because I've been meaning. Do you have an extra copy of it?
I'm one of them.
I am
Also, that brings to mind, don't forget your
Ethics filing.
ethics filing. It's due by May.
So-
John.
Could you turn it?
Yeah, yeah.
You have a cheat
Yeah,
sheet,
I
you
believe
want
so.
to write on this, John?
I'll get this to you. I'm gonna grab the fourth floor also.
Okay. That's all I have. So thank you. And if you have an opportunity after the meeting, I'd like to look. Everybody's welcome to go. It could be like a fourth floor party or something.
Sounds good.
Don't leave empty handed.
Take a bag of trash out, let you go.
Take an old desk.
listing address is 607 South Sixth Street. I was checking for an update on the nuisance property at 522 South Fifth Street. Is there any update?
We don't get an update unless it's from the mayor, Nate.
I had, Aaron, I had on my notes, and correct me if I'm wrong, the citation was issued on, February 28th.
It's March 3rd.
I'm sorry, March 3rd?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry, I wrote that down wrong. But the 30 days, is that what it was? So that would be,
And there's been correspondence, and it's, all update is everything's going through attorneys now.
so I think it's kind of in our attorney's hands now as far as if there was a violation and any legal action needed to take on that. So maybe let them speak to that if they want to do
We would
that.
anticipate moving forward with issuing any type of zoning violation on around the 4th
I
of
would
April.
anticipate they would be. We received a letter from their attorney in Washington DC who represents Oxford House all over the country. And it was a 10-page letter asking for an accommodation for this. We formulated a letter in response to that just today. It was emailed to him about an hour or so ago, and it's put in the mail to him, stating that we would not make any accommodations, that there can't be more than 3 unrelated people. We went through it. We've cited 2 Supreme Court cases that we think support us, United States Supreme Court cases, in our letter back to them. So that's where we're at.
Awesome, thank you.
So yeah, we have told him no, that we cannot make an accommodation for you, a spatial accommodation that would violate the zoning code.
Sure. So short of any response that would change the outcome, the plan would be to issue some type of occupancy.
Yes, if they don't comply, then we'll let them know that we're going to be taking them to court.
Fantastic, thank you. Concern 2 would be what was anticipated to be a sewer line failure, but at the last meeting it was updated. This may not be a sewer line failure, and we're back to the start of that. Is there any update from any department head or from the mayor on that?
And we're meeting tomorrow, so I'll check and see if they've got to it.
Okay. My last concern would be, for those that are able to monitor social media, the North Ironton project, thank God they don't live down there. I assume that this room would be full if they could get their cars down here. Between the North Ironton communication projects, the street snow removal issues, other public service issues like Jefferson Street, sewer line failure, it seems that we're somehow missing communication within the city. When you look at the forms of communication, during the last session, we talked about how communication would get out on this legislation you guys are working on. And we'd contact the auditor's website. We would update the Facebook page. We would put it on Ironton's website. Those are all inactive things, though. Since January the 1st, the only thing, whoever is updating the Ironton Rec League should be the communication director for the city. My phone buzzed constantly for the Ironton Rec League. Outside of that, there's not updates that go out on that. There's
You specifically are talking about the text alerts
the
there.
text alert,
Yeah.
the website.
That comes out from the mayor's office.
Fantastic. So there's been a city cleanup effort that has been updated twice, and the Ironton Rec League has been updated. Outside of that, the text message thread doesn't get utilized. The website hasn't been updated since the 2nd week of January for a job post for the fire department that is now outdated. The city Facebook page, again, lies inactive. Last meeting's YouTube video did not get uploaded. There's just, we're missing an action around this. Councilman Haney spends his time on social media doing his best defending the issues. I assume just so the neighbors know. When you're out down there, God bless you for that. Sarah, you're a brave man. There's just a lack of communication that comes out. Mayor Cramblett is missing from social media. He has not been quoted in the Ironton Tribune since 2024. The north end of town was destroyed. Ambulances got hung up last week. I mean, Ironton's getting roasted, and our leaders are just absent. I'm not certain why that is. It's, Ezra Klein, a liberal podcaster, says that Doge is popular because they see government in action. And whether it's attractive because it's burning down or it's attractive because it's moving, something is being done. The Ironton government system is just inactive. It's missing on the job side, it's missing on social media, it's missing on communication. If it's a lack of passion, do better. If it's a lack of disengagement, then give up your seat. There's other jobs that pay $80,000 a year, go get one. But do something, be somewhere. And also be thankful that you're not in the city of Huntington. Council's got the hardest job.
Aaron, so as far as this body goes, we do pay for, not that I want to like promote a brand, but we do pay for Dave Lucas Communication to broadcast our meetings in an effort for transparency and communication, because you probably, I don't know how, Jerry, but you may remember when.
24 is what we're going to go with. Someone write that down.
All right, I'm celebrating my 23rd anniversary of that. We used to have Ohio University Electronic Media that came and they provided that service to us for free. Then we had to start paying for it. Then they stopped having a student that was willing to do it, and so we did hear that a lot. And in response to that, that's why they're here, because we felt like that was our part, and we needed to own that and being transparent in our meetings. And so I can only speak to that. And then again, when it comes to things, how do you get a problem resolved? One of the suggestions that we had that we've seen enacted is the city website does have to report a problem.
Sure.
And you can put your name and your email address and are supposed to receive updates from that. But again, we don't necessarily control that. The texting system is another thing that, I do hear what you're saying about rec league and cleanups, and those are things that like we're doing. Yeah. But I've also seen boiled water advisories on those things, and so I think we do have some pieces there,
sure,
that need bolstered. But I think from our standpoint, it's about transparency in this, so that when we legislate and appropriate the things for the city, that at least we're attempting to be transparent.
But does it feel common that one of you, Mr. Haney, specifically would have to be the one updating the community from, I'm not certain where you're getting screenshots from, someone's communicating that to you. But if they're not friends with you on social media, they're not going to see that their sidewalks aren't open and their roads are blocked. Like, why is that falling to council? And I mean,
because council's an open forum, and because it's the only open forum in our city, and a lot of things that you or Mary Ann or anybody comes to hear, we have to balance that whole, like, this is a public meeting, need to be heard, but there's not a lot that city council can do other than fund an issue, fund a problem with appropriation of funds, or pass a law. And that's where
you have influence within the community. How many votes did you carry in the last election?
I have no idea. I didn't put up a single sign
I
here.
know.
And the other reason for that is because I'm out in the community. I'm cutting grass with my kids. I'm at ball games, and so I'm talking to people.
Sure.
So I don't have to be on Facebook to have interactions with people, because I have face-to-face interactions with people, which is also why I got however many number of votes, because I talk to people, and I don't care at all to talk to people.
Sure.
If I'm at Tudor's on Sunday after church, I stop and talk to people. If I'm out on the hill shopping or eating wings, I stop and talk to people. So I don't think you have to be on social media to have interactions with the public. And a lot of them call me, stop me, no matter what I'm doing. Trying to watch my kid bat, and I'm answering questions about city issues that most of the time I don't really have any direct control over.
Sure.
So Nate had his hand up.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, I kind of want to echo some of the things. When I got on in 2017, I ran on transparency and communication, especially from this body, and some of the things that he talked about, the broadcast, this wasn't here. You weren't able to see the YouTube. We've invested money into our current website, which if you saw what the website was before, this is an improvement. But I will agree with you that there's room for improvement, especially on our part. We've talked about trying to get the minutes to the meetings to the website. We've invested money in making sure we have city emails that you can contact everyone here. I think everyone here pretty much answers their emails. We've subscribed to the Ohio Treasurer's Office, Ohio checkbooks that residents can see every penny that's spent of their tax dollars. We pay for the subscription for the communication with the text. I do know with the Green Valley project, there was a separate number to opt in for those Green Valley updates. Terry, is that correct? Because I know I don't live there, but I wanted to make sure that they weren't going out. So there's two numbers, one for this general city and one for the Green Valley project, where you can get, because I've gotten those updates on there. So when it comes, I feel like when it comes to this body council, we've invested the money to be able to be transparent and communicate with the community.
Sure. And with that, again, you guys are the ones allocating the funds. You believe that the investment's being utilized to the best of its ability?
Again, I do. I mean, I think we're using all of those tools, but I do recognize where, like, for example, the website, we need to get the minutes of the meeting posted to that, so that we can review. Hopefully we can get all that figured out. But yeah, I think there's room for improvement.
Chris.
Just to piggyback off kind of what Craig and Nate said, I think as a body as a whole, we've discussed being transparent. Like Craig said, a lot of my interactions are not through social media. I will see somebody will say, well, did you see what they said about the city on Facebook or whatever? So I made it a point to try to, if I had information that would help somebody out, I've tried to put it out there. Now, my wife's probably got better judgment than I, because she's like, so I've quit responding, but I've put the information out there. So,
Sure.
Like, I'll put it out there and leave it out there and just not respond, because you're not going to make everybody in this community happy. I've seen it over and over, and you could do a lot of things. You could the water lines could be, plated in gold, and the streets could be lined in silver, and somebody would, they're too slick. You know what I'm saying? So I put it out there for information, be transparent, and because, I don't like seeing my city get bashed on social media, but I'm not going to, I've learned my lesson. Not going to get on there and keep trying to post facts and arguments for the city. I'm just going to put the information out there and let it be. But, I don't, a lot of people, there's a lot of things and complaints out there, but nobody really wants to provide solutions for the issues. There's a lot of negative feedback that when you go through the actual comments or whatever it's on, there's not a lot of solutions that people offer. They want to say certain things, but they don't want to provide adequate input for a resolution to the issue.
I don't want to be misunderstood in that I believe the council has a duty to be posting on Facebook. And I said, my fact was that I felt bad for you that you were the lone person out there having to do this. And I would take Craig's advice and avoid social media at all costs. We have a position within government here that should be doing this, but in absence of that information, in absence of that leadership, you guys are left holding the bag, and unfairly so. But where I think your influence can come into play is that you could, in your community, push the person responsible for this to do better and to be better. You do represent the folks that elected you, right? I mean, you're the loudest voice for those folks.
Yeah, it's a collective we. Anybody that joins the city council hears me say that, whether it's John Elam's fault, Mike Pemberton's fault, or our fault collectively, it's a we. So point taken, like, I think you have the commitment, for me to do my best, to educate people on things that they may be misinformed on, or, put out information when I see people, no matter what the forum may be, but,
Sure. I appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah, sorry.
sorry.
One, thank you for coming and sharing those words tonight. A couple of things. First of all, on the video not being uploaded last meeting, I also noticed that, and I reached out to Dave Lucas, who is supposed to be working on that, but I just sent him a reminder a few minutes ago because I also noticed that as well. And then secondly, I just want to say, I completely understand some of your frustrations there. I'd love to see somebody really owning and taking hold of that communication and that vision for the city, because right now I feel like it's kind of piecework together. And I guess a question for Sam, if you would want to chime in. I know we have a new community development director. Is he going to be taking on any of the roles of kind of champion communication and vision for the city?
I don't know.
Okay. Just curious.
We field phone calls all day. We are in meetings all day. I don't know what your job's like, but we stay very busy, and we don't have time to go back and forth with people on Facebook. And I'm not going to.
I don't think personally.
That's in no way, shape, or form. It just maybe
No,
not.
I can't put it on the text messaging service every time someone gets a parking ticket.
Thanks.
Thank you, guys.
Update from Dave Lucas Communication.
The student who was doing the live stream didn't know how to fix it right, so I did get it posted. When I got back from my trip, I was on.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I didn't see a copy downstairs either. I come in and read, last time's copy. I didn't see one down there.
I put one there. I don't know what would have happened.
Someone took it.
I
It's
took it.
hot item, Mary.
I put it,
Probably is.
I put
Stole
it there on
I
Wednesday.
need one.
That's not the first thing.
But before I was on council, I would come to the meetings for like a year before I was on council, and I would just always request it from the mayor's office, and they were gracious enough to put it in the window, and I'd just stop and get a copy so that I could know what was going on, pay attention. I can't imagine that. I won't speak for them, but I can't imagine that that's a huge
Well, I
deal.
got an email, but they kind of stopped, so that's why I didn't know. What do you know about email?
Thank you all. Anything? Moving on to
The water meters need to be bid out. Mac, you want to inform them on that?
About today.
You want to do that in miscellaneous? I think Nate was one of the John miscellaneous.
Okay. Yeah, I forgot we're still on this audience participation.
Communications, there are none. Reports, there are none. Ordinances, there are none. Resolutions, if the clerk could please give ordinance or resolution, 2518, read by title only.
Resolution authorizing the submission of an application for Ohio Urban Forestry Grant under the Inflation Reduction Act program.
Chris.
Make a motion to pass resolution 2518.
Bob.
No, second motion to pass 2518.
Discussion. Roll call, please.
Brown.
Aye.
Cleary.
Aye.
Hany.
Aye.
Harvey.
Aye.
Hawk.
Aye.
Klein.
Aye.
Resolution 2518 passes. Miscellaneous, Mayor, again, Mike, Nate, the water meters.
I just want to have some discussions to update. Matt, correct me if I'm wrong, we're at your opinion, put the water meters out the bid.
Yes.
Okay.
And I think also it's better to do that, that would help you get the loan from EPA.
Yeah, we met with
We talked about it for about an hour.
EPA yesterday, and it was something about just because we had it, said that it was okay to pass by emergency, they couldn't necessarily cover themselves on this. That there's a way they could do it, but they didn't, as we feel, we don't know that we're comfortable going against it either. So even though it's a replacement of and a discounted warranty, situation here, that, it's still us replacing all of this stuff was going to be, I think, as Max stated, it's best that we bid it out just
This
to
company
avoid all
bid
the.
on it, I mean, along with everyone else, and your,
Is this,
the opinion we gave you, Nate, back in October was kind of based on getting parts for the existing, replacing parts and fixing those. Now I think we've gone to where we're gonna replace all the meters with new meters. And
Well, I just think
there may be even a different system than what these meters use. So,
you pass those around everybody, please. I think there's just, I don't know. I feel like there's some gray area in that it could be considered an extension of the existing contract because it is a 50% replacement of the current meters with the credit with that company. You see what I'm trying to say?
they can bid on it, and if they wanna give the 50% deduction, they can, you see, in order to get the bid, maybe.
But you're saying the process of it is what's going to be validating with the EPA and what you think is necessary.
It's my understanding now, we're wanting to replace
Liability.
all the meters with the same type meter.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's why we think it needs to be bid out.
Okay.
are some of the parts not remaining? We're using the same system and it's the same billing system and same reading system.
It'll be updated.
Yeah,
But it's just
I mean,
an updated
honestly,
software.
that's what they were saying, it's not it's a very gray area. Because it is essentially an extension
Oh, that's fine.
from our current service. No one else is gonna be able to provide that but Mueller, but for their typical standard protocol is to have a bid for their funding. And that's where they're just not used to it being like this and they don't really feel, I mean, and they're not saying no, but it's less likely.
Is our quote locked in throughout this process?
It only is until May, at the end of May.
March.
March 31st. Then rates go up.
But, I mean, I think they're just, if anyone wants us to buy them, they're gonna have to just get the price right.
Is that what you were gonna say, John?
Yes. And I say something else though.
Yeah.
I think that is it all right if I kind of explain this?
Yeah, John and I have been looking, if in lieu of the EPA financing for the water meters, going out to bond, and he's been in communication with Mike Burns and Baird as far as those financing options, and that's what was just passed out to you. And I think the biggest concern is there's two projects on there, the water meter and then the wastewater plant improvements that we talked about. In lieu of the 5-year plan, if we wanted to borrow that money, we talked about those financing terms. I don't know if you recall that with John Haskins. So those two projects are on there. The concern with Mike Burns, and correct me if I'm wrong, John, is in doing financing both of those projects through the bond, would be nearing our complete bond capacity, our borrowing capacity for that. And I think the consensus was we don't necessarily want to do that. We want to make sure we have capacity for emergency, all that stuff. So we really want to try to pursue the EPA loan to be able to preserve that borrowing power that we have. I think we were going to try to communicate with John Haskins that we're going to try to wait until EPA approval for this water meter loan before we go with this bonding finance package here. We can have that conversation again. But I don't know. I mean, I see it both ways on the water meter bidding.
So is the solution that we wait and get a firm yes or no from the EPA and then go back to the bidding process? In the meantime, our warranty is going to increase.
If feels like we're gonna have to bid it, especially on their opinion, so.
You can
I think we
be
bid it
bidding
out
that
and then
get
we can-
bids and so forth, but before you award a contract, you want to make sure you got the financing in place.
Yeah. So, well,
Well, sorry,
yes,
would the current bid that we have, I mean, is that legally binding? If they are the lowest bid, if we,
Well, if they
have we
become the
already
lowest bid.
accepted it? Well, let's say they've already submitted their bid, we bid it out for 30 days and they're still the lowest.
You can say the acceptance is based on obtaining the financing. You can make a conditional acceptance if that's what
So
you're saying,
can I,
to the lowest bid.
I will sponsor legislation to accept that on the conditions of the, can I do that? Okay, I would like to sponsor that legislation.
That, if it's an ordinance, yeah.
Or,
It'd be an ordinance.
yes. Are we good? Are you okay with that?
John, you're shaking your head now.
we're gonna accept the lowest bid pending.
I'm saying we will accept that bid. What I'm asking is, can we create legislation to accept the bid that's already been offered?
No.
Well, no, I'm saying, like you, the way you worded it.
You can advertise for bids, and whoever gets the lowest, you can say the acceptance of it's conditioned upon us obtaining the financing. The
Okay.
meters you're gonna be buying, is my understanding, are gonna be much different than what you currently have. They're new and more modern. You might even be able to read them from the office instead of riding by and getting it. So it's a whole new thing.
It is, but, the ones that are faulty, that are being replaced, are done at a 50% reduction. I mean, which is roughly a third of them.
We're getting all,
Faulty.
we're getting all of them.
Yes, I understand
About
all.
75
That's
to 80%.
You're buying all new meters, that's why you need to go out for bid.
Yeah,
It goes up every month. I mean,
John.
I spoke to Brett today because on these packages, there were two different quotes, and I was like, now was this one, the higher quote, does this one have
It's
the labor
installation.
charges in it? And that was it, and it also had the lead/copper line inspection report. And through the course of our conversation today, it was, now you remember prices go up March 31st. So, I mean, he was quick to point that out. And I understand what you said, Mac, and probably Chris, is that, well, if they want our business, then these are the prices that they're gonna have to do. But I don't know how much latitude he has, because he was quick to note that the prices go up March
he's a
31st.
salesman too.
Okay.
Robert.
So I'm clear on that. So Brett, he works for Waterworks Meteorology, and then they
Yes.
purchased that equipment from Mueller, right? Is
That
that
they're a distributor.
they're a distributor? So they're okay. So that price increase, I guess, is probably coming from Mueller to that company.
Well, in their quote, it said, when I read that today, that made me think more like it's a sales pitch, because it says company-wide costs are increasing
Okay.
31st. And, you know, if they don't want to honor it, we'll see if someone else has a better product.
Chris.
Okay, so I guess my question is, Mac, is if we, let's say we put it up, well, we'd have to have legislation for, if we put this out for bid,
The
can we
mayor
use
can
it?
advertise for bids without any
Yeah.
legislation.
Can we use this for the quote? Can we use this for the quote?
No. After you advertise for bids, then they submit the bid. And it's a sealed bid, they're all opened on the same day.
It'll be spec to, I mean, because our intention is to replace our current system, it'll be spec to do that.
Okay.
We're doing
Which out
more
there
than just
probably-
fixing these old.
I got
All right,
probably one of the
okay,
ones
I
that
think
can
I'm
do
good.
that,
I
but
think,
this is really for the sake of just
Okay.
the EPA feeling comfortable with funding.
gotcha. thank you, appreciate the clarification.
But maybe there's someone else who can do it.
Also, I'd like to move to accept the February 2025 financials from our.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Brown.
Aye.
Cleary.
Aye.
Hany.
Aye.
Harvey.
Aye.
Hawk.
Aye.
Klein.
Aye.
Other miscellaneous, other than New Year, same reds, give up 4 in the 9th.
Are you kidding?
Oh, my God.
Sorry. Anyway,
It's a little bit out.
WSAZ's here, I guess get to be Joseph Payton and give it.
I was just curious, I was gonna ask, Mayor Sam, if happened to have any updates on the street lights downtown that we had talked last.
Yeah, so they've, Jimmy actually said it was a lot of the bulbs actually, which I was shocked. But he's been down at wastewater. We're dealing with a lot of electrical upgrades, but that is the next thing on the list to do.
Thank you.
Bob,
Move to adjourn.
Jacob, second. Roll call, please.
Brown.
Aye.
Cleary.
Aye.
Hany.
Aye.
Harvey.
Aye.
Hawk.
Aye.
Klein.
Aye.
We are adjourned.